Independent game development is as prolific as it's ever been in 2017. Thousands of games are uploaded to Steam every year, and that number continues to grow. However, it wasn't always like this. Let's go back over a decade ago to the early 2000s. Digital distribution of media was not yet viable as physical means still ruled the roost. As such, developers that were looking to break into the industry had to find creative ways to build their portfolio, and fan game projects that were built for commercial game consoles, or homebrew, were becoming a popular method of getting an aspiring game developer's career off the ground. By the time that the Game Boy Advance was released in 2001, the console homebrew development scene was starting to come into its own, and it didn't take very long for GBA Homebrew to follow suit. The GBA saw quite a few homebrew ports of titles from other systems, as well as a handful of unreleased commercial games that were later dumped onto the internet as ROMs. But today I want to take a look at 5 of my personal favorite original games produced by one of the best homebrew scenes of any console. You can download these games for free and play them either using an emulator or on actual hardware with the power of flashcart technology. Links for downloads and further reading will be in the description. Let's check them out. Number 5, Blast Arena Advance. This is an interesting rhythm-based game that was developed by Matthew Carr. It reminds me a bit of Geometry Dash in terms of the one-off nature of the game and reliance on music as part of the experience. The object of the game is to last as long as possible while collecting the yellow squares and avoiding the projectiles that dart across the screen. You'll have to master the touchy controls of Blast Arena Advance, as the white square that you control zips around uncontrollably if you push down too hard. The game includes a local high score table, and your score will account for both squares collected and time lasted in a given round. The music track that plays during each run naturally accompanies the gameplay, providing an intense backdrop to the action. Overall, there is a high level of polish on display here that you just don't see in a lot of homebrew games. There's even a snake clone minigame included if you check out the credits near the bottom of the main menu. And one more bit of trivia, if you watched my last video about mature rated GBA games, you'll know of Apex Designs, the developer behind Payback, as well as the advanced audio engine that was included in this homebrew title. If you'd like to learn more about this game, be sure to check out Matt Carr's website in the description, including a free download link. Number 4, Lockjaw The Overdose. The GBA has a few homebrew Tetris clones, but none as uniquely bizarre as Damian Yarick's Lockjaw. During play, the screen will periodically shake, rotate, and distort to the beat of the music. There are a handful of game modes that you can choose from, including Marathon, which is your standard modern Tetris game mode, 150 Dash, where you have to clear 150 lines to win, Time Trial, which is an easier mode where you only have to last for 3 minutes, and finally Death Mode, which I probably wouldn't recommend to anyone. Lockjaw The Overdose is a game made for Tetris veterans, and while it may be an acquired taste, it's definitely a game that you should check out if you're looking for a free GBA game to try, though I probably wouldn't recommend driving or operating heavy machinery after playing this one. Number 3, Ballistic. Continuing our streak of originality, we have Dave Smith's turn-based soccer game with some billiards-inspired gameplay sprinkled in. Players go back and forth, taking shots within a limited time window, aiming just right to score a goal or knocking the opponent out of the way to gain leverage. You can play either versus a single AI or a pass-and-play game with a friend on the same system, a seemingly rare feature for any GBA title. The options menu allows you to tweak ball and player physics, as well as time between moves, to improve the replayability and accessibility of the game. While the last two entries on this list relied on their robust audio features, this is one game that you should probably play on mute. The sound effects, if you can call them that, serve as little more than a periodic audible cue, and are not necessary to enjoy the full experience of the game. The true strength of Ballistic is the simple, addictive gameplay, so this is an aspect that can be easily forgiven. Not much information can be found online about this particular game. It's hosted on various websites, but if Dave Smith has any web presence pertaining to the game, it's pretty well hidden. If you're out there watching this video, Dave, I just want to say thanks for this awesome contribution to the GBA homebrew scene. Number 2, Super Wings. Out of all of the shoot-'em-up homebrews that I could find for the GBA, I enjoyed E-Kid's Super Wings the most. Some other homebrew shooters might have more colorful sprites or fast-paced action, but I love the combination of the 1942-inspired faux military setting with the old-school Game Boy-styled color palettes. It's smooth, it handles nicely, and is reasonably well animated considering the style that the developer was going for here. As with countless other similar shooters, you have to fight enemy planes and vehicles, snatching their upgrade drops in order to beef up the damage output of your aircraft. Beat the token boss at the end of level 1 and you're rewarded with a shiny new black and white palette, as opposed to the less shiny green and white of the first level. After beating the next boss, level 3 is where shit really hits the fan. Now we're cruising through outer space, dodging the space invaders, and... what is that? Never mind, stop the video, this is the best game ever made. Number 1, Angoon, Warriors of Virtue. This supremely well-made dungeon-crawling action-adventure game is one of the few Game Boy Advance homebrews that you can still buy in cartridge form. The game is heavily inspired by Legend of Zelda, something I'm sure that creator Nathan Tolbert would not be shy to admit. And while it doesn't quite contend with some of the Zelda releases on the GBA, it is easily one of the most well-made independent projects for the system. Jam-packed with 5 dungeons, a who's who of dungeon creatures, and boss fights to round out each section, Angoon is a game that any action RPG fan can easily sink their teeth into. There's little barrier to the action as you're dropped right into the first dungeon when you start a new game. The boss fights are tough, but if you learn their patterns, make use of potions, and shoot them with arrows, it will help you avoid a frustrating death. You can find Angoon on the Nintendo DS, and there's even an Atari 2600 adaptation in the works. But as far as GBA Homebrew is concerned, you're just not going to find a deeper, more rewarding experience than this gem. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my short list of Game Boy Advance homebrew games. I haven't even begun to scratch the surface as far as GBA Homebrew is concerned. If there's interest in this topic, I might make a part 2 in the near future. And I just want to give a quick shout out to pdroms.de for hosting some of these all but forgotten projects. If you want to delve deeper and find some more games like this for all manner of classic consoles, that is an excellent place to start. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and why not take a second to subscribe to my channel. I've been on a bit of a hiatus lately from making videos, but more content is definitely in the works. As always, I love to hear from you guys in the comments, whether you have criticism to help me improve, or words of support. And lastly, I set up a Patreon page in case anyone out there is interested in donating to help support my channel. I'm not very familiar with how it works, so please bear with me as I try to grow the page, but I appreciate your guys' support whether or not you choose to contribute over on Patreon. Alright, that's all I got. I'll see you all next time.